All right, ready to dive into some more great history.
Always.
This time, we're tackling Horatio Nelson,
Ah.
a name I think pretty much anyone listening will know, synonymous with, I guess, naval heroism.
Absolutely.
But we're going to try and go, I don't know, maybe a little bit beyond that,
Yeah, a bit deeper.
a little deeper. And we've got some really fascinating sources for you today.
Oh,
We've
wonderful.
got firsthand accounts,
Great.
historical records,
Was we were
even personal letters.
That's always a treat to get inside their heads a little bit.
Yeah. So set the scene for us. It's February 14th, 1797, Valentine's Day.
Ah.
But there's not a lot of love lost between the British and the Spanish fleets,
No.
clashing off the coast of Portugal.
This is the Battle of Cape St. Vincent, a very important moment in British naval history.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's interesting is how this battle, I think really showcases Nelson's
Daring.
daring and initiative. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the British fleet, led by Admiral Sir John Jervis,
Yep.
is outnumbered by the Spanish.
They are.
But they have one crucial advantage, don't they?
Yeah, this is really the age of fighting sail.
Right.
And it's that the British have been at it longer than anyone else. They've been fighting the Dutch. They've been fighting the French. And just through sheer experience, they're better at it.
Right. And they've also got this kind of almost like a culture of
Yes.
initiative, I guess.
Yeah. A real sort of can-do attitude, which, it had its drawbacks. There was quite a lot of insubordination in the Royal Navy.
Right.
But in a situation like this where they're outnumbered, that's where it really pays off.
Yeah. Jervis knows this, right? He's encouraging his captains to
Yeah.
seize opportunities, to be decisive, even if it means, bending the rules a little bit.
Yeah, and you can really see that in his battle orders for this.
Yeah.
It's basically if you see a chance to take a pock shot at a Spanish ship, take it. That's really all it boils down to.
And nobody embodies that spirit more than Nelson. Right. He's in command at this point of the HMS Captain, a 74-gun ship of the line.
Yeah, a fairly standard ship of the line. This is the kind of the workhorse of the Royal Navy.
Mm-hmm. And he is about to make a decision that I think it's fair to say
For sure.
changes the course of this battle.
Absolutely.
So he sees this gap in the Spanish formation.
Yeah.
And this chance to really disrupt their plans and prevent their escape.
Yeah. He's been given this order by Jervis to basically, do what you think's best. You know the situation.
Right.
And he sees this as a perfect opportunity to really strike a blow.
So what does he do? He throws out the rule book
Complete.
that breaks formation.
They does.
Now imagine yourself, on the deck of this ship.
Yeah.
Cannons are roaring all around you. The smell of gunpowder is thick in the air. And suddenly your ship just charges straight towards the largest ship in the Spanish fleet.
Yeah.
The San Tisman Trinidad.
Yeah. This is a behemoth of a ship. It's a 4-decker. It's got over 130 guns.
Yeah.
Nelson's ship, the Captain, has 74 guns.
Yeah, it's dwarfed.
It's absolutely dwarfed. It's this, this is a real David and Goliath scenario playing out on the high seas.
And it's incredibly risky, right?
Oh, absolutely. Hugely risky.
He's essentially putting his own ship, directly in the line of fire.
Yeah.
And kind of buying time for the rest of the British fleet to regroup.
And it works brilliantly. He does buy them that time, but it's a very close run thing.
Yeah. But it's brilliant. It's a brilliant tactical maneuver.
It is. It is.
Right. Because, like you say, it disrupts the Spanish plans. It prevents their escape. It draws their attention.
Yeah.
And it allows the rest of the British fleet, including Nelson's good friends, Troubridge and Collingwood,
to
come to his aid and turn the tide of the battle.
Yeah. This is textbook Nelson. He's always been this very aggressive commander. And, sometimes it doesn't work out, but in this case, it really, really does.
So despite being outnumbered, the British win a decisive victory at Cape St. Vincent.
They do.
And it really is a testament to, the skill and the courage of the British sailors.
Yeah, absolutely. And the leadership of Jervis, the overall commander, and the audacity and brilliance of Nelson.
Yeah. But we need to remember, I guess,
We do.
These moments of naval warfare, they come at a terrible human cost, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We have accounts from this battle. I was reading one earlier from a surgeon who was on one of the British ships,
Right.
describing the carnage below decks,
Yeah.
the blood, the screams, the sheer terror of it all.
The shattered limbs.
Yeah.
And the...
It's not pretty.
Yeah.
For all that we might sort of romanticize this period,
Yeah.
this is brutal stuff.
Yeah. And I guess it's a reminder that, behind all the sort of the thrilling narratives of heroism and victory, there is this brutal reality of war, the loss of life, the suffering.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's something that's very important to keep in mind when we're looking at this period.
But for now, Nelson's basking in the glory of this victory at Cape St. Vincent. It's a victory that propels him further up the ranks of the Royal Navy.
It does.
And really cements his reputation.
Absolutely. This is when he really starts to become a household name.
As this daring, skillful commander.
Yes.
But his ambition doesn't end there.
No. He wants more.
He's not just content with glory, is he? He also craves, I guess, wealth.
Yeah. And that's not uncommon for this period. There's a very strong link between military success and financial reward.
Yeah.
And Nelson, he's got his eye on the main chance.
Yeah. So he starts looking for opportunities to capture enemy ships and claim their valuable cargo.
Which leads us to the next chapter in this deep dive, Nelson's audacious plan to capture the Spanish treasure fleet.
Ooh, yes. Tenerife.
Tenerife?
A story filled with, I guess, high hopes.
Yeah.
Daring plans.
Absolutely.
And ultimately,
Bit of a...
bitter taste of defeat.
Yeah. It doesn't go quite to plan.
No. But before we get there, we need to understand, I guess, what drives Nelson to embark on this risky venture in the first place.
Yeah. What's going on in his head? What's motivating him?
So
I think that's a good place to leave it for now.
Okay. So stay tuned, because we're going to find out all about that.
We are.
In part 2.
We are indeed.
So Nelson and Troubridge, they arrive at Tenerife with this squadron ready to capture this legendary treasure fleet.
But it's not quite the easy pickings that they were perhaps hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, Tenerife proves to be a much tougher nut to crack than they anticipated, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The island's very heavily fortified. The terrain is treacherous.
Right.
And the Spanish defenders are very well prepared. They know the British are coming.
Right.
They've had plenty of warning.
Well, there's been this initial attack.
Yeah.
Which has gone disastrously.
It really has.
It's a bit of a mess. The landing is botched. They're caught in broad daylight by Spanish troops. I mean, Troubridge nearly collapses from heat exhaustion. I mean,
It's a real sort of object lesson in how not to launch an amphibious assault.
Right. It's quite a humbling experience, I imagine, for these two, these seasoned commanders.
And a reminder, I think, that even the most sort of brilliant commanders, they can be undone by poor planning.
Yeah.
Unexpected circumstances.
Yeah.
Things just don't always go your way.
No. But this setback, it doesn't deter Nelson, does it?
Not a bit of it. He's got this real sort of bulldog spirit.
Yeah, he refuses to give up.
Yeah.
So he decides to launch this second attack, this time under the cover of darkness.
Yeah.
And he's going to lead the charge himself.
Which, again, is typical Nelson, really.
I mean, it really speaks to his...
Yeah, his bravery, his leadership qualities.
Courage and leadership.
But also, perhaps, a little bit of stubbornness, perhaps.
Yeah.
He's still recovering from that wound he got at Cape St. Vincent.
Right.
He's not in great physical shape.
Yeah.
But he's determined to see this through.
But this second attack is also a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
It is. They get discovered before they even reach the shore.
Right.
And all hell breaks loose. The Spanish cannons open fire.
Yeah.
There's complete chaos. And in the midst of all this, Nelson shot in the arm. It's a devastating blow. The bullet shatters his elbow, severs an artery.
Yeah. And his stepson, Josiah Nisbet, who insisted on coming along in this expedition,
bless him,
witnesses the whole thing.
He does.
So Josiah, bless his heart.
Yeah.
Keeps his cool in this incredibly stressful situation.
Yeah, he does.
Whips off his neckerchief.
Yeah.
Uses it as a tourniquet. And potentially saves Nelson's life.
Yeah.
Right there on the beach.
Yeah.
Talk about a brave young man.
Absolutely. Real sort of presence of mind.
Yeah.
Under extreme pressure.
Yeah. I mean, they managed to get Nelson back to his ship, the HMS Theseus.
They do.
And the crew lower this chair
to
help him back on board. But Nelson,
ever the hero,
refuses
to
too proud to be seen as weak.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. The show must go on.
Yeah, so he grabs a rope with his one good arm and hauls himself up onto the deck.
I mean, what a scene.
Blood streaming from his wound.
It's pure Nelson, isn't it? This mixture of...
It is. It's bravery.
Yeah.
But it's also, there's a bit of pride there as well.
Yeah.
I think. He doesn't want to show any weakness.
Yeah. And he knows his arm has to be amputated. Yeah. There's no other option in those days. Once an artery's been severed like that,
yeah.
Gangrene's going to set in.
Right.
He's going to die if
Yeah.
they don't take the arm off.
So he calmly orders the surgeon
Yep.
to prepare for the operation. I mean, can you imagine?
I can't even imagine.
This scene. I mean, they're in the dimly lit cockpit of this ship. It's been transformed into this makeshift operating room.
Yeah.
No anesthesia, crude instruments.
Yeah.
I mean, the surgeon's sawing through bone. It's
stuff of nightmares, really. And Nelson apparently endures it all with incredible stoicism.
Yeah.
And from then on, insists on having his surgical instruments heated before use.
Right.
Because he says he can still remember the agony of the cold steel.
Yeah. Ugh, it's awful. And that's not the end of it, is it?
Yeah,
I mean,
not at all.
One of the silk threads that they used to tie off his artery gets stuck, refuses to dissolve.
Yeah.
And causes him excruciating pain for months to come.
For months, yeah. So he's in constant agony,
Yeah.
On top of losing his arm.
So this Tenerife expedition ends in utter failure, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. He loses his arm. He loses over 100 men. And there's no treasure to be found.
Yeah.
It's a complete disaster.
And he returns to England, I guess.
A changed man.
A changed man.
Yeah.
Both physically and emotionally.
Yeah. The loss of his arm is a very visible reminder of this defeat.
Right.
But I think the emotional scars run much deeper.
And he's plagued by self-doubt at this point.
He is. He's depressed. He's worried that his career in the Navy's over.
Yeah.
He's only got one arm. What use is he?
Yeah. And he writes these letters to St. Vincent, pouring out his frustrations.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one where he says, he's become a burden to my friends.
Yeah. Useless to my country.
And useless to my country.
Yeah.
It's
heartbreaking, really.
Yeah.
To see, this great hero sort of reduced to
vulnerable.
Yeah, this sort of state.
And how does St. Vincent respond?
Brilliantly. He basically says, look, you're a hero.
Yeah.
We all have setbacks.
Yeah.
Mere mortals can't command success. And he even jokes that he'd be proud to bow to Nelson's stump.
It's a really beautiful...
It's a lovely moment.
Yeah. Amidst all the horror of war, the ambition, the ruthlessness, there's still this
human connection,
this humanity there, which I think is really quite touching.
Yeah, and it's a real turning point, I guess.
It is
for Nelson, isn't it?
Yeah,
he starts to recover both physically and mentally. He's fitted with a prosthetic arm.
He is,
which he learns to use.
Yeah, with surprising dexterity.
Yeah,
apparently. But more importantly, he regains his confidence.
He does.
And his thirst for glory.
Yeah. He's not done yet.
He's not done yet.
No.
Okay, so Nelson's, back on his feet.
Yeah.
Recovered from this disastrous Tenerife expedition.
Yeah, physically at least.
Yeah.
The loss of his arm never really goes away.
Right.
He suffers from phantom limb pain.
Oh, right.
For the rest of his life. He writes about it in his letters.
Right.
The pain, the discomfort. But he manages it.
He pushes through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his story isn't just about, battles and bravery.
No.
It kind of takes this unexpected turn, doesn't it?
It does.
As he finds himself entangled
in a love affair.
Yeah.
A very, very passionate,
scandalous,
and very public love affair.
Yeah.
With Emma Hamilton.
Right.
The wife of Sir William Hamilton.
Right.
The British ambassador to Naples.
Yeah. So it's 1798, Nelson's stationed in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Leading this hunt for the elusive French fleet.
Yeah. It's a game of cat and mouse, really.
Yeah.
They're chasing each other all over the Mediterranean.
And he's in Naples, right? A city known for, I guess.
Well, for its beauty, for its intrigue,
right.
And for its, slightly decadent atmosphere, shall we say.
Yeah. And it's also where he meets this captivating ambassador's wife.
Yes. Emma Hamilton.
Emma Hamilton. Now, she is known for her beauty.
Yeah, she's a real, sort of society beauty.
Her charm.
And she's very intelligent. She's not just a pretty face.
Right.
She's very quick-witted, very, very charming.
And she's very well connected, isn't she?
She is. I mean, she's married to the British ambassador.
Right.
She moves in very high circles.
Yeah.
She knows anyone in Naples.
Yeah. And Nelson is, I mean, he's completely smitten with her, isn't he?
Head over heels.
Yeah. So this isn't just a sort of passing fling.
Wow.
This is a full-blown
this is a grand passion.
love affair.
Yeah.
Right. A love that will defy social conventions and have some, pretty far-reaching consequences for both
of them. And for others as well.
Yeah. Remember Fanny?
Yes, of course. Fanny, his wife.
Nelson's wife.
Yeah.
Who's patiently waiting for him back in England.
Yeah, completely unaware of what's going on.
Of this passionate romance that's unfolding in Naples.
Yeah, poor Fanny.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the news of this infidelity will be a devastating blow.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll eventually lead to their separation.
It does.
Yeah. It's a
very sad story.
Heartbreaking situation.
Yeah.
And I guess a reminder that even the greatest heroes are human beings.
Yes.
And, capable
of great love.
Making choices that hurt those closest to them.
Yeah. And capable of making mistakes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But Nelson, I mean, he's consumed by this love for Emma.
He is.
So he chooses to defy social norms and live openly with her.
Which is, quite a shocking thing for the time. This is not something that people do.
Yeah.
You don't just leave your wife and set up house with another woman.
No.
But Nelson does.
I guess it reveals, maybe this impulsive nature.
Yeah. I think it does. And it shows how much he loves her.
Yeah.
That he's willing to risk his reputation, his career, everything.
For her.
Yeah.
And it's not just a personal scandal, is it?
No.
I mean, this love affair actually has political ramifications as well.
It does, because, Naples is a hotbed of intrigue at this time.
Right. They're caught between, these revolutionary forces of France and the traditional monarchy. And Nelson, I guess, influenced by Emma's connection to the Neapolitan court.
Yeah. She's very close to the queen,
right.
Maria Carolina.
Yeah.
And through Emma, Nelson becomes very close to the Neapolitan royal family.
Yeah. And he throws his support behind the monarchy.
He does.
And even participates in actions that I guess some historians
view it as quite brutal.
Right.
There are reprisals against people suspected of Republican sympathies.
Right.
And Nelson's involved in this.
Right.
It's a dark period in his life.
It tarnishes his image a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, for a long time, this was sort of brushed under the carpet.
Right.
It wasn't really talked about.
Yeah. But I guess it raises these questions about, how much did his personal feelings influence his judgment?
I think they clearly did.
Yeah.
He's very much in love with Emma.
Yeah.
She's very influential. Mm-hmm. And he wants to please her.
Yeah.
And I think that does affect his judgment.
Yeah. I guess it's another reminder that even the most admired people
absolutely
can be fallible.
They can.
Right, and capable of making decisions that
go against their better judgment.
Contradict their own values, their own ideals.
And I think that's what makes Nelson so fascinating.
Right.
He's not this sort of this plaster saint.
Right.
He's a complex individual.
Yeah.
He's got flaws. He's got contradictions.
Yeah. I mean, his relationship with Emma, I guess, also highlights this tension between his personal life and his public duty.
Absolutely.
I mean, he loves her deeply.
He does.
But their affair, exposes him to criticism.
Yeah, it undermines his authority
within
the Navy. People start to question his judgment.
Yeah.
They say he's besotted.
Right.
He's not thinking straight.
Yeah.
And it strains his relationships with people who don't approve of what he's doing.
Yeah. It's a tough balancing act.
It is.
That he's trying to manage.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess in a way it kind of reveals the human cost.
It does.
Of his choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, despite all these controversies, all this personal turmoil, Nelson's story continues.
It does.
He will go on to achieve his greatest victory at the Battle of Trafalgar.
The battle that makes him a legend.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of our deep dive.
We have.
Into Horatio Nelson. And, I think it's been a fascinating journey.
I think so, too. He's a fascinating character. And I think his story tells us a lot about this period of history.
Yeah. What stands out to you about Nelson?
I think it's his complexity.
Right.
I mean, he's this incredible war hero.
Yeah.
He's brave, he's daring, he's a brilliant tactician.
Yeah.
But he's also very flawed.
Right.
He's impulsive, he's sometimes reckless.
Yeah.
And he's capable of making, some pretty bad decisions.
Yeah.
But, that's what makes him human.
Right. And it's what makes his story so compelling, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because we can all relate to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day, think about, what would you ask Nelson if you could meet him?
What would you say to him?
Yeah. What aspects of his life, intrigue you the most?
Yeah, it's a question worth pondering.
Yeah. What lessons can we draw from his remarkable journey?
I think there are many.
Yeah. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of history.
And join us again next time
for
another deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.